Over the next hour, what I'm hoping to take you through is look at telling you what category management really is about. It's one of those buzzwords that we use in the industry, but actually, are we all sure what we know what it means? Secondly, hopefully give you some of the principles of category management that you can take back and apply. And thirdly, try and make you understand where you can use it in your role. But to start off with, I want to do a little test with you. I want you to try out and see what a world without category management could look like. So if you can get your buttons ready, what I want you to do in the next screen is find where the anchor butter is. So put your hands up once you've found it. So hands up, everyone, when you've spotted the anchor butter. And as we can see, it's not as easy as it looks. Okay, we're getting most of you now. You can see that is just a screen of 206 products from Ocado, randomly mixed. And this is one of the big quandaries for the shopper and the retailer. That's where anchor butter is, if you hadn't found it already. So one of the big quandaries for retailer shoppers is, in the market, there are at least 400,000 SKUs that are available to the shopper and to the retailer. But when we talk about what store sizes we have, when we look at our hypermarket, we're probably talking about 20 to 50,000 SKUs that are available. So the first challenge for the retailer is to decide which of that vast number of items they actually want to have in their store. But when we bring it to the shopper, if we look at how many items they actually purchase a household annually within food and grocery, it's probably around 300 SKUs. So a hypermarket, we're offering them 50,000 SKUs, and they're having to work through that to get to annually the 300 SKUs they need. And if we're talking about really a trolley trip, we're really looking at 20 to 50 SKUs. This is one of the big challenges for retailers and the challenges for the shopper. But the conundrum is bigger than that. There also is a decision for shoppers where to shop, and where to shop for specific needs, whether it is a weekly shop, whether it is just a snacking on the go occasion, or where they've just run out for milk. Shoppers are having to make the decision which stores they visit that fulfill their missions and their needs at the appropriate time. And retailers have to decide which stores are most appropriate to fulfill these needs. And for our suppliers and brand owners, we have to make sure that the products and the formats are suitable for the missions and the needs of our shoppers at the most appropriate time. If you're looking for a drink for the now on the go, the man there is drinking a 500 ml. If we provided him a 2 litre or a 6-pack of soft drinks, it probably isn't going to be appropriate for his immediate needs. So we have to think about, as suppliers, the products and the formats that we deliver them in. And the interesting thing about this is, we, as an industry, we talk about channels and we talk about formats of stores. To the shopper, they are all just stores. And what they're doing is deciding on what is the most appropriate store for their shopping mission or their shopping need at that moment. Category management helps this. It will help the shopper and helps the retailer and helps the suppliers. So what is category management? It is words that have been around since the 80s, and its principles and how it is applied have gone back further than that. And over the years, we've seen many definitions of category management from many different sides, and even us at the IGD, we've had many quotes on what category management is. At the moment, what we're saying category management is the strategic management of a category with the aim of maximizing category returns by tuning the total category offer to the needs of the consumer or shopper today while anticipating those of tomorrow. And what I'm going to do is go through a few of what I think are the key phrases within that statement and bring them to life for you. Firstly, strategic management and anticipating those of tomorrow. This is crucial, even though when we often think about category management and when we see category management being used, it is quite tactical, whether it's through range reviews, whether it's through a planogram. But at its heart, category management is about looking to the future, understanding what the opportunities are in the future and how we can bring them to life. The big danger is we are using a lot of the time historical information and data, but we have to remember that what we're trying to do with category management is anticipate where we can grow. The next one is tune in the total category offer. And this is a thing that suppliers we've been doing brand-wise for quite a few years. And brand management is really about tuning the brand offer. Category management is about tuning the category offer. And when we mean category, it can be like products. Like here we've got soaps. A range of soaps is a category. But it doesn't just have to be products. It could be occasions, so a lunchtime meal or an evening meal, or it could be a mission. It could be that distress shopping purchase or a snacking occasion. It's about the grouping like products together in a category offer. And where brand is about driving really the sales of an individual brand, potentially at the expense of other brands, when we talk about category management and we talk about tuning the total category offer, we're talking about optimizing all of the category together. And what do we have to optimize and how to tune the category? A lot of the time we'll see most of it coming through in assortment and merchandising, but actually all the tactics that we have had, especially within the in-store environment, can be utilized within category management. Whether it is getting the correct assortment, making sure that the range is right, making sure that the merchandise is correct, the layout in the store, where it sits in the store is correct, the pricing of the products, what the structure of the products pricing is in, what the hierarchy of the pricing, or promotions. What are the best promotions for driving this optimized category? How are we talking to the shoppers? How are we messaging? And how is that coming across to them? And ultimately, we need to get the products on the shelf. So how is supply chain supporting the category optimization? And finally, but not least, new products. How do we deliver new products that drive real category benefits? So they're just a few actually of the tools, and category management can engage as many tools really as you want, but really within the in-store environment. But in our research, we have actually asked suppliers, what do category management practitioners do? And from our survey last year, we find that range assortment and fixture space and layout among suppliers is coming out as a top response. With over 8 out of 10 practitioners doing recommendations in that area. But when we go down to things, we find that areas like promotional recommendations, new product launches, and even evaluating in-store activity, we find that fewer and fewer actually practitioners are doing that in a day-to-day job. But all these areas should be covered within the category management, but they don't necessarily have to be covered within the category management function. One of the ones that is crucial in category management is there's two people, the consumer and the shopper. And ultimately what category management is about is delivering against the needs of these people. On the whole, category management, we usually focus within the shopper and leave our marketing teams to worry much about the consumer, but they both have to be taken into consideration when we're looking at category management. But aren't they the same person? Isn't the consumer and the shopper the same person? What we have here is a couple of slides from some of our Shopper Vista category benchmark research into cereals. And it's obvious in categories like pet care and in baby care that the consumer and the shopper is different. But cereal, we can see that actually for the last purchase, shoppers said, 68% of shoppers said the purchase was not exclusively for them. That means that really in 2/3 of occasions, the consumer could be someone different to the shopper. And when we asked about who influences it, even though 2/3 of the decisions could be someone else who's consuming it, basically for 3 out of 5 shoppers, they are the influencer. They are the one who's helping making the decision in the purchase decision. So often, the consumer and the shopper are different people. And with that, they have, at the same time, different needs. So for a consumer, on the left-hand side, we can see it can be really all about emotion. It can be love of the brand. It could be the desire for the product. It could be the flavor and the delivery and what it means and the efficacy of the product. But when we get to a shopper, and even if they are the same person, once they get in that store, a lot of the motivations can become very functional. It can be down to the price. It can be down to the promotions. If it's not a category they're really buying into, it could just be down to the visibility. Can they find the products? And also some of the things that they want to avoid is being things like not being ripped off, long queues, out of stocks. These are all some of the very functional motivations that can drive different shopper behaviors. So all that work that we may do in marketing to the consumer, getting them to love our products, love the retailers, love our categories, can all be wasted once someone gets to the store. So it's important to understand our shoppers' path to purchase. So we have at home, and where marketing focuses, is very much in the awareness and creating desire. But where we start coming into category management and we start thinking about the shopper is in the planning stage, where they're starting looking at what they need to shop for, what they need to buy. And this could be a split second that I am hungry now, so it could be a quick snacking occasion, or it could be a planning for the big monthly shop stock up. Once they've planned what they're going to buy and where they're going to shop, then they have to find the category and choose the category that's most appropriate for what their needs are. Once they're in the category, they have to think about what products they need, where they find the products, how they're going to select them, which ones they're going to choose, what's going to drive that product selection. And also following on for that, and the reason why we have to make sure that our products deliver against their needs, once they've purchased a product, they'll go back into the consumption. And if it doesn't deliver against what their expectations are, that product may not be on their planning cycle again, or that retailer may not be on their planning cycle again. It's important to understand how this path to purchase happens for our categories, to understand at what points we can influence the behavior of the shopper. And finally, one of the key phrases in there, and which one needs to be remembered most times and often gets forgotten within the process and the tactics of employing, we need to maximize our category returns. Whether it's sales, whether it's profit, could be penetration, or it could be just how we're perceived, how the category is perceived within the retailer and how the retailer is perceived. But we have to make sure that we are maximizing the category returns from the initiatives we put in place. So there are some of the key phrases that I pick up on throughout what category management is. But there's one way when I'm trying to think in my own mind what it is, I come down to this. It's about delivering change and influence in the shopper. And basically there are 4 ways we can do that. In everything we do, we are pulling one of these 4 levers. Number 1, can we bring more people into the category? Are there people at the moment that there are barriers to entering the category that we can remove? If we've got all the people we want, what about getting them to shop more often? How can we make people who are shopping once or twice a year come in and buy from the category more often? If we can't get them to buy any more often, when they are in, can we get them to buy more items, more purchases? When they just buy one from the category, is an opportunity for us to get them to buy 2 or even 3. And finally, but not least, is there something we can give to the shopper that they value, that they are willing to spend more money on the item? And here is just a few examples for each of those. So something like sushi. Sushi is a new trend really over the last few years, where world foods has started, shoppers have started consuming and using more world foods by providing it in a snacking case, a ready-to-go format has opened up sushi to new shoppers and new households for their lunch occasion. And here we've got root touch-up, hair colouring, where people are quite happy to let the hair colour grow out and roots form because of the messiness and the process that goes into hair colour. This root touch-up is actually helping people look at buying into the hair colour category more often, so new occasions. And if we talk about more purchases, here is an example within Tesco's Watford, where they have combined, creating an occasion, fruits with meringues and coulis, here almost providing a pavlova offering. So whereby the shopper may have just come in with the intention of buying just the strawberries, this store here is trying to create those increased purchase opportunities where they buy strawberries plus a meringue plus a coulis. And finally, about adding value. And here is pet care. Here is a cat food pouch, where historically it was all cat food cans. But what the pouch has done is offer the consumers convenience, something that they were looking to and a barrier for providing for their cats. This has enabled us to be able to increase the value per meal that shoppers are willing to pay to provide for their pets. So they're just sort of 4 examples of how we can deliver against those shopper levers. And here we have the shopper measure tree, and you may have seen this tree before and used it. And the way I look at it is the coloured boxes are really the 4 levers we have that we have to think about influencing with the shopper. And they all build into the spend per visits, the average weight of purchase, and ultimately they will drive the category value. But we've talked about shoppers and consumers. Within category management, data really is the king, and is what we use to understand and optimize the offerings that we have. So here we can see, even though we look at shoppers and consumers, there are other areas that we need to consider when we're going into category management and to analyze. So partners. What I mean by partners, it can be retailers, it can be our own businesses, the suppliers. We have to analyze what the strategies are, what the desires are, what our growth opportunities are. We need to understand those when we look at embarking in category management initiatives. We have to remember, though, that we're not playing in this category in isolation. So we have to think about the competitors, the retailers and the suppliers who we are in competition with, and actually we may not have influence over. So whatever we look to do within category management, whatever initiatives we try to drive, we have to remember that we're not doing it exclusively. That we are in a competitive environment and we cannot necessarily predict what is going to happen with our competitors. And finally, one of the areas that we're probably most comfortable with, and at the moment I'm ignoring the shopper and the consumer, is probably the market and the category data. And this is like the AC Nielsen data and the RI data that we use day in, day out. And it's vital to understand how the SKUs, the categories, the segments are performing, and the retailers are performing, and is the backbone of our analysis. The danger is we shouldn't look at it in isolation, and we need to remember that it is all historical data. One of the ones is, today we're seeing that actually, hopefully, touch wood, we're hearing about, the shoots of growth in the economy and the market. We're seeing that shoppers are feeling a little bit more confident. If we're trying to predict their future needs and wants and what they value, is the last 6 years of recession the best thing to look at to predict the future? So we just have to bear in mind when we're looking at this historical quant data that we're taking in consideration what is going on in the market and what's changing. And to that point, one of the key words up there for me is PESTLE. And for those who haven't encountered PESTLE, these really are the big picture trends that are affecting everyone and everything that we do. And these ones will give a good guide of where the future is going to be, what's going to happen. Politics. I mean, today in the UK, we are going through the election. And if we ever hung Parliament again, what does that mean for our confidence, our shoppers' confidence and our consumers' confidence going forward? What does that mean, therefore, for what our offering has to be in the future for our shoppers? The economics is crucial, understanding what money we have. And sociology, understanding the social mix and how it's going to change over the future. One of the key trends we're seeing really throughout the Western world is this increasing age of the population. How is that going to impact our categories and our products in the future? Technology. Technology is an amazing one. It's growing at such an incredible rate. But what are the new technological advances that are going to really change the way our shoppers engage with us? You know, we're seeing online shopping now, which is changing the way that we have to do category management and how we have to consider category management. But every time we try and predict technology, it is, you know, it always surprises us. So technology is a key trend that will engage us and affect how we do category management. And then there's legislation. So down to what our government's going to do, how are they going to legislate our categories will have effect on how we do business. And finally, the environment. More and more, you know, environmental discussion is coming up the agenda, and we have to consider what is coming down the line for us with regards to the environment. These are what I call the big trends, and often we can forget about them, and we can carry on and get really stuck into the detail of the initiatives we do and look at the real hard data. But I would really advise people considering these areas in everything we do when we're looking at future opportunities. And the beauty of these, most of this stuff is really freely available out there via the internet and the news service. So it doesn't cost a lot of money. So that is what category management is. But what are the benefits of doing category management? Why do retailers need to incorporate supplier input into the category management process? Why can't they do it themselves? It is their fixture. And why would suppliers want to get engaged in category management with retailers? Don't they just want to drive their own products and their brands? Well, to start off with, I'd like to say there are two ways that we can grow our businesses. The first one is we can increase our slice of the pie. And what I mean there, we can grow our market share. We can do activities that drive our share of the category and the market. Or the alternative is we can look to grow the whole cake, make it bigger, make the pie bigger for us. And with that, we will grow. Now, I'd like to put a quick question out to you all there on this one. Of these two, whether we're growing our market share or whether we're driving growth of the market, which one do you think we focus most of our time on? So I'm going to give over to Heidi now, who's going to bring up the survey. And I'd like you just to vote A or B, whether you think we focus most on increasing our share of the category or whether we focus most on increasing the size of the category. Over to you. Okay, that's quite a resounding number. It's a number I was hoping for, so well done, everyone. So 80% of people are saying that we're looking to increase our share of the category. But what is the danger about this? If we go back to increasing the slice of the cake or the whole cake, for suppliers, if we're looking at changing the slice of the cake, it could be at the detriment to other brands. And it may not grow the category. So why would a retailer want to support us in just driving the slice of the cake? in very simple terms. And the same with retailers. When retailers are looking to just grow their market share and drive their sales, why as brands and suppliers would we want them to do that if it is just moving sales from one retailer to the other? But that is where most of our time is focused. But if we look at actually driving the size of the cake for everyone, that is what we call the triple win. This is where, by increasing and driving the sales of the total cake, we are driving the win for the retailer, we're driving the win for the supplier, and hopefully we are delivering against a shopper need or want, and so we are winning for the shopper as well. So by actually driving the size of the category, it is a win-win situation for everyone. We also asked suppliers, why did they do category management? What were the benefits for them? And we've done this, run this survey every couple of years. Hopefully we'll be running it again later on this year. So I'd ask you all to take part if you get to see the survey. Over many years we've asked, what are the top benefits for you suppliers in category management? And you can see the good thing is improved sales, enhanced market share are top answers and have been top answers for all the time we're there. But one of the ones also that we see coming through is this improved trading relationship. So why is it improving trading relationships and why are we working together? So we've looked at what we think is why people are working together and what we bring to the party. So why a retailer would want to work with a supplier is we bring potentially innovation, we bring investment, we bring resource, and we work constantly within our categories. So we bring that knowledge, that category knowledge. But as suppliers, why would we want to work with the retailer? Why can't we just focus on just driving our brands? And it's because the retailer brings to us the data and information about them. They have the marketing tools that we can access at the point of purchase, and they are our point of purchase, our window to the shopper. So there are benefits for both retailer and supplier to work together within terms of category management. But actually out there's quite a few retailers and there's a hell of a lot of suppliers. So the big question is for retailers and suppliers, who do you work with and to what level do you want to work with them? Because ultimately we have a fixed resource and we have fixed time, so we can't work with everyone. Now I'm going to put a question back over to you guys. In one of our surveys we did ask retailers, considering category management, what distinguishes a best-in-class supplier in terms of category management? What do you think was the top response? So number one is an in-depth understanding of the total category and the future trends, which is great because that was the top answer. So when we asked them, 62% of retailers put the in-depth understanding of the total category and future trends as the number one mark that distinguishes a best-in-class supplier. Oh, sorry about that, just catching up. So we've got the in-depth understanding of total category, 62%. Launching innovation that contributes to category growth was the second highest response with 52%. Understanding our business and strategy, 45%. Objective viewpoints, recommendations, and finally the long-term vision beyond current trading needs. And I think of what I've talked about in category management, what it is and what category management means, I think you can see where it fits to the category management statement. A way I like to look at this is, it is about knowledge, understanding the category and being able to express and convey that knowledge. It is that vision, it's that understanding of that future position that we can be in. It's about looking at long term. It's not about so much the day-to-day today. It is about where we're going to be and how can we optimize the future. It is about objectivity. With so many choices for retailers, they will support suppliers in category management who are giving objective recommendations. And finally, for me, it's about action. It is about what can we do and how can we implement and make the changes. It's about practical recommendations. But how do you decide who you're going to work with? And we've got here, there's 3 areas that we count about who we work with, and this is for retailers and suppliers. Number 1, will. If you're going to talk category management, do you feel that your partner or who you're thinking about partnering actually embraces category management and lives the ideals of category management? Are they focused on the shopper, and is the shopper key to all their decisions? Skill. Ultimately, can they implement efficiently? Do they have the resources and the team and the knowledge to be able to make a difference and be able to drive the category growth? And finally is importance. And ultimately people run to this, it's about how big they are for us. But it's more than just about size of their business. You know, what is their potential to grow? How big can they be? And how strategically important are they? It could be a retailer or a supplier who may not be the largest, but actually what they stand for and what their products have and the brands they are might be strategically important for us. So in a way, if we're talking about who we should work with and when we should work with them, will, skill and importance is a good way of prioritizing our partners. So if you're not in category management, how can category management help you? How can it change the way you work tomorrow or today? Fundamentally, I'd think about those win-win-win situations. What are you doing today that can be a win-win-win? Making sure that it delivers against a shopper need, delivers against a retailer need, and it meets your needs. Delivering for everyone. When we do something, think about what is the impact going to be. For everyone, what's the impact for the shopper and for the consumer? Is it going to drive behavior change that is positive for us? And for suppliers, what is the impact going to be in store? What does it mean for the fixture? What does it mean for the promotional plan and what the store is going to look like? So we need to consider in everything we do, what will be the impact for these 3 people? And when we look at our data and we see the sales peak or growth, what we have to ask ourselves, what is the underlying change that we're seeing? Big trends are great and big peaks in sales are great, but we have to ask ourselves, what is the underlying change in our shoppers' behavior? What have we done? Have we brought more people in? Have we got people to buy more often? Have we got more purchases? Or have we got them to spend more money? And this we have to look at in the long and the short term. It may be a lovely peak today, but is it taking sales from tomorrow? So for example, what about promotions? When we think about the promotion, we've got to think, where has that peak of sales come from? In the ideal world, we'd hope it came from new households and increased consumption, because they are really category driving initiatives. But has it just switched people from packs? And that could be positive or negative. Have we just switched people from one brand to another? Again, is that really going to drive category growth? Or have we just made Peter to buy today when Peter was planning to buy tomorrow? So have we just filled up his pantry? Have we just moved him from next week's sale to today's sale? Or have we just made him switch store? Has he just moved from one retailer to another to buy the same thing? When we're looking at those peaks in sales in promotions, and if we're driving those, I'd look at what is the underlying behavior that has happened and changed. And the danger is it a long-term behavioral change or is it a short-term behavioral change? Because there is a risk that we just start teaching shoppers to shop differently. And within the innovation process, where does category fit? Once again, thinking about the consumer, the shopper, and the store needs is crucial at the beginning of delivering innovation. So first on the consumer bits, and this bit with innovation, usually within suppliers especially, is the bit that we do. What is it delivering against? What is the unmet need that it is unlocking? Is it unlocking a new occasion, or is it adding something that they value? If it's just taking sales from another brand, if it's just another me too, we have to question why we're doing it. And then for the shopper, where do they need the product? How will they find it? And how do we minimize the risk to them of trying something new? We have to consider this for the shopper at the beginning of innovation. And then for the store, vitally, does the product actually fit on the shelves? Where is it going to go on the shelf? What is the case size we need? Is it going to deliver profit and margin for everyone? Does it fulfill the strategies of the store? And what level of distribution do we need? How many stores would we expect it to be in? Where does it need to be? So these are all questions that need to be asked in the innovation process. Right, and now we have the last poll over to you. And what I want here, this is a bit of a fun one. I just want you to look at what colours for you best represent beef, lamb and pork. Make your selection now. Okay, should we see the results? So for most of us, we've picked the red, green and blue. There's quite a lot on the brown, white and pink, which maybe this is a UK-centric colouring, but what we find is red, green and blue generally are the colours that we associate with beef, lamb and pork. So when we consider things like even packaging design, we have to think about the shopper and what the shopper is expecting. And we have to think about what colours we use. So some of the questions we need to ask: does it look right? Does it fit with the brand and the category? So are we launching a beef product that is yellow or white? If we are, that's not fitting with what shoppers expect to see, what colour they see. So does it fit with the brand and the category? Will it stand out on shelf? Very often when we talk about packaging design, people look at these beautiful packs on a piece of paper in isolation. But how will it look when it's stuck up against another 200, 300 products on the shelf? Does it fit with the shopper expectations? Is it in the packaging format? Is it the packaging size that the shopper expects? And ultimately, what are the key messages we need to get the shopper to take? When the shopper goes shopping, what we saw really early doors is, they're only trying to get down to 20 or 50 products out of a store of potentially 50,000. So with that amount of information they're going to absorb and what they have to filter, what are the messages we need to convey? And how do we get it across? And that is all about the packaging design. That is what, fundamentally, if they go to the fixture, the shopper will choose based on. If you doubted it, here is an example from 2009 when in the US, Tropicana looked to change their packaging. And you can see the before and after that. 7 weeks after they launched the new packaging, they had to revert back to the old because it was estimated they lost over $30 million in sales, fundamentally because the shopper did not see what they expect to see or what they wanted. Finally, a few more things for you back if you're not in the roles that are category. Category management is driven by data and about insight. And it's good so that every decision we make to try and make sure it's backed by insight. that's based on robust understanding of shopper and consumer behavior. That if we see growth and we see a trend, that we question it and we understand what the root cause or the root behavior change is that is delivering that trend. As suppliers and as buyers, when we're selling it internally, we need to make compelling recommendations. If we can find those triple wins where everybody is winning, they are the opportunities that will be driven and taken forward. It makes it easier to make a compelling case for an initiative. If we've got the facts and we can make it measurable, again, it makes it harder to be questioned why we wouldn't do it. And also smoothing the process. And things like the MPD and the packaging design, if the shopper can be considered at the beginning of it and category management can be at the beginning of the decisions, it means if we have category-led solutions that fit on the shelves, that the shopper wants and desires, it will be easier to implement them. If we've considered the store, the shopper and the consumer up front, it means that we shouldn't hit as many hurdles on delivering the initiative. And fundamentally, we have to consider the in-store environment, where we want to be, when we want to be there, and what we have to be at each step of the process. So there is a little snapshot in category management. Hopefully I've conveyed to you some of the principles of category management. Hopefully you can now go away and say what category management is. And I ask you just to remember those real 4 levers. Think about the penetration, the frequency, the units per occasion, and the value that you can deliver in everything you do. If you're intrigued to understand more about category management, we do run open workshops. Successful category management is our introduction one. It is a 2-day workshop for people coming into category management or interested in category management. The next one we have is running the 20th to the 21st of May. There are some spaces still on it. Or if you want to see what other people are doing in terms of category management and shopper marketing and see what some best practice and some great case studies, we have our Category Management and Shopper Marketing Summit in June, the largest in Europe, 2 days again. So do think about if you want to know more and see how people are implemented it. Come to those. Come and visit us and see us at the event. I've put the website up there, www.igd.com, where you can find more information on each of those. And now we'll go on to some questions. We've got some that were pre-sent in, but we've got some that you guys have put through. If there's any other questions you guys want to put through, do so now. We've got here, what are some of the best sources for PESTLE? Most of PESTLE, in answer to that, most of PESTLE is news, but there are some great websites as well. So for the UK, the Office of National Statistics is a great place that can look at some of the social changes and give you some of the what we expect to happen with populations and economy and personal wealth. So the Office of National Statistics, and also there's a good one internationally, which is, I can never remember exactly what it is, but it's the OECD. And what we'll do, we'll send it out with the response, which virtually brings together the top 60 or 70 countries, lots of details into populations, GDP, all those type of areas. So that is a great source for it. But the internet is just a great source for those PESTLE areas. You know, just having a good trawl and finding out for yourself. You know, we have our retail analysis and our Shopper Vista services that are also great to give you an idea what's happening with retailers and shoppers. We had one that came in. We had one about artwork and on-pack effects and the outer case impact on category management. I sort of put that slide in there to try and talk about the pack, but it is fundamental, the pack design in category management. When we talk about visibility, the pack is key to making something stand out. And also, now we're talking about many places we are merchandising in shelf-ready packaging, and And we have to think about that as a way of communicating to the shoppers. But on the other side, we have to be careful, and we're getting a lot of actually front of shelf ready packaging it quite big, that it doesn't start to become a barrier to shoppers being able to select their product. But it is key, the pack design. It's also key to make sure that the pack does fulfill what it says. You know, does it look the right size? Does it look right for the shopper of what they would expect? We've got one here about the key importance of a successful trading relationship, and that sort of, I think, that ties in a bit about also the mix between category and commercial, which is a question we had coming in before. Category management works best as a separate conversation because it is that win-win situation. So it is actually beneficial for both retailers and suppliers to talk together in terms of category management. The danger is, if it starts being tied into commercial, is it starts getting blurred and we start getting commercial needs on it. So what I would recommend is to always try and keep category management dialogue separate to any commercial discussions. Doesn't mean that your commercial discussions should not be founded on the principles of category management. So they shouldn't be founded on, you know, delivering against shopper needs, but it's best just to keep them separate, keep them as a conversation in growing the total category, and then leave the commercial discussions to separate. I know that a lot of suppliers out there won't have the resources to have separate massive category management teams. So you can, a commercial person can have commercial discussions and can have category discussions. The important bit is to make sure when you're having those conversations that it is clear to all parties involved when you're doing a commercial and when you're doing a category discussion. We've got one here about online, which is, I would say, it's probably one of the biggest buzzwords we get and what we get asked the most. What is category management and online mean? And it is a huge challenge. Basically, a lot of the principles like planograms and ranging and marketing, they're all applied to the in-store environment. You have to rip them up and start again. The key bit is fundamentally is about the shopper. And what you have to think is you have to go back to basics and think about how is my shopper behavior online? How are they getting to select my product? What is their shopping process? And where can I influence it? And what are the barriers to them selecting what they want? But it is a whole new can of worms. It is something that we're looking at and we're incorporating within some of our training. And we do have the online workshop this week, or next week, I think it is. So if you want to come in and start engaging the online, that workshop would be a great one to come and attend. It's not category focused, but we do talk about the shopper throughout it. And I think finally, we've got a question about how much notice do we take on planograms? And also, who do we listen to about what we stock? I would say planograms are an interesting one. To suppliers, they are crucial where the products are placed. Retailers, more in general, are worried about supply chain and in-store time. But the layout of the fixture is key in optimizing the shopper influence. Because back to that challenge, supermarkets are big. You know, when you especially get to big stores, there is a lot of stuff going on that is taking the shopper's attention away from actually shopping. And that means we have to make sure that the layouts of the fixture are also optimized to make sure that the shoppers can find what they want when they want. The worst thing is if we have a shopper in the store who intended to buy and the fixture didn't help them, that they will walk away without a sale, and that is a lost sale. So we have to think about the layout. One of the big challenges I think also with planograms is, especially with the prevalent, can't say the word, how many promotions we have at the moment is, are our planograms on our shelves being able to deliver against those promotions? Because one of the worst things we get from shoppers is there's nothing worse than a promotion that is out of stock or unavailable. So we need to put that into consideration. So layout is crucial. The planogram is crucial within category management. And who do we listen to? Hopefully we picked that up a bit on prioritizing who you are, who your customers. Do talk to your suppliers. Do compare to suppliers and see who you think is talking to you with the most skill, the capability, and the will in terms of category management. Do think and question back to the shopper need, what does that product deliver against my shopper's needs? Is it unique, or is it just duplicating something else that is there already? So do think about that within the mix. And I think that's about it. If there's any other questions that we've not picked up, we'll have a look at them and we'll respond to them in the mail out. So I'd like to thank you for your time. I hope you found it enjoyable, and I hope a few of you would love to go on and have careers in category management. Thank you.